Episode 223 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded February 20th, 2019. Misfits of Science.
Misfits of Science.
Misfits of Science.
That's right. We're going to be talking about that 1980s show about superheroes, Misfits of Science.
I don't even know what this show is, but I do like it because it ties into the two shows we're talking about, Umbrella Academy and Doom Patrol, because all these characters are, well, misfits of birth, misfits of science. There's some of it kind of going on.
No, Umbrella Academy isn't just birth. There's weird science in there, too.
There is weird science. And also, one of the characters, number 4, is from the TV show Misfits.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So that works.
Yeah.
Robert Sheehan.
Yeah.
Tie-in.
Yeah. So it works.
Yeah.
So we're going with it, I guess, because I already recorded it and made the art. So tough luck.
Yeah. Also, Umbrella Academy and Doom Patrol have a lot of the same DNA to them. Like, Doom Patrol was very made famous by Grant Morrison, and Umbrella Academy is heavily influenced by Grant Morrison stuff. It's Gerard Way, and then, of course, Gerard Way is currently writing Doom Patrol for DC Comics.
Right.
Nice.
So there's a whole bunch of... It was interesting that these two dropped on the same exact day.
I was going to ask about that.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Do you think there was anything intentional happening here?
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. I think that it allows the audience to kind of compare the two and go, well, I like this one for this and I like this one for that. And there's no reason for us to do that otherwise at all with these shows. They're both superhero related shows. And so it's fun in that regard. But we don't need to actually try and like pit one against the other.
No, we
They're
do.
both fun.
Let's put them against each other. Nothing I love better than the fanboy slap fight.
You know what? Speaking of fanboy, I was reading the review, or a little bit of the review, from Alan Sepinwall of these two shows, and he seemed down on Umbrella Academy. So I kind of went into this with like this expectation that maybe it's not really good. Fuck that. That dude was wrong.
You know, I wonder, Sepinwall might have read the comics, and I know they made a lot of changes from the comics.
I read the comics, and
Did you?
I recognize a lot of the differences that are going on, and I think it's for the better.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I'd say for the better. I do think that the Umbrella Academy version on Netflix works better on TV, and the Umbrella Academy in the comics was better in comics. Like they did the perfect
for the better
adaptation.
for the medium. Yeah, that's all I meant.
Yeah.
Because I love the comic as well.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, folks. Okay, let's jump into this. I guess we're the TV dudes. I'm Grant,
I'm Randy.
And I'm Kyle.
and yeah, we're going to be talking about Umbrella Academy and Doom Patrol.
So we have spoiler warning for all 10 episodes of Umbrella Academy and the first episode of Doom Patrol.
Yeah, and we're going to jump right into it. So
Splash.
I hope you guys are ready here. Umbrella Academy is first.
Yeah.
So this just debuted this Friday over on last Friday, I guess, as of the recording of this, on Netflix. And it's 10 episodes, each an hour long. And this tells the tale of 7 peculiar children that were born all around the... there are 7 of 42 or some number.
I thought it was like 100-something, 108 or something like crazy
in
like
the
that.
comic, there's 40-something, and they might have...
I think in the movie, I think in the show they upped the ante, and it was like 108 kids or something like that. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
And all of these kids were born to parents that were, or mothers that were not even pregnant that day. Until this
Immaculate
happened.
Conception.
Yeah, a bunch of crazy stuff happening.
Bible
and,
stuff.
These 7 kids were adopted and known that they were going to be superpowered, and so they were raised because they need to save the world. But they're all super fucking dysfunctional because it's interesting. This is obviously like harkens back to stuff like the X-Men, where you have this school for gifted youngsters. But think of how damaging it actually would be if you're recruited as a child soldier and told that you're special or whatever.
Well, especially if the guy recruiting you is a complete asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. There's also the thing, too, of like what happens when you give kids powers or when kids have powers, like, and you're the person who's responsible for all that.
Yeah. Well, you build a robot wife and you create a chimp butler, apparently.
I have read the comic.
Me too.
So I came into this with already a lot of familiarity of what was going to happen for the most part. Like all the beats, I knew the ultimate villain and all that.
Right.
Kyle, I'm assuming you went into this pretty fresh.
I did go in cold, and there are a couple of twists that I saw coming and a couple that I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
So I think before we wrap this up, I definitely want to find out what was from the comic and what was just done for the show.
Well, you know what's interesting is I've read the comic, I own the comic, and I don't remember a lot of it. What I do remember is that in the comic, like, and this might be in the second one, there's like a sentient Eiffel Tower that they're fighting.
That's in the very first one. It's one of the first scenes, actually.
That's what I thought. And there's all this, like, they have like crazy powers and costumes and code names, and they tone a lot of that down, and I think it was for the better.
Yeah, it's super comic booky, heightened up in the comic.
Yeah.
Like, everything is in this, like, over-the-top surreal world with math-grading luchadors and tentacled everything, and, like, yeah, so it's kind of weird. Yeah, and like you're saying, there's a sentient moving around Eiffel Tower. So.
Yeah.
You know what this kind of reminded me of? And hear me out. But it kind of reminded me of The Watchmen in the sense that it was a story being told in two parts, kind of the glory days when everybody was badass and, you know, their superpowers, and now where it's like everybody's a victim of all their badassness.
No, I totally agree with that. It's also a notion of applying real-life sexuality and psychological touches to the superhero genre, and also just like showing what it looks like realistically to be superheroes and how fucked up it is. And that's not always my bag, but I actually really like the way they did it here. I also think in the comics, which again, I really like the comics, but it was so obvious that Gerard Way had been heavily influenced by Grant Morrison and Warren Ellis and Alan Moore, and like he was trying to do his own riff on the things they'd done. Whereas here, the sort of Wes Anderson's X-Men of it all feels a little more original. We haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
And I thought that worked really well.
I kept watching this and kept thinking about all of those Marvel Netflix shows that came out, and I'm like, you know, they were so great when they first came out, and then they kind of wait out, and now I'm like, oh, no, you can adapt a comic book like this. Like, if I would love to see more stuff like this kind of hit that 10-episode format, because that's the thing. They didn't fuck around with trying to do 13 episodes because of this or that, which I'm like, this 10-episode format is genius and worked perfect for this. I'd love to see more of these indie comics.
I'll be honest. There was a point around episode 6 or 7 where I thought, oh, they might actually wrap this up in about 7 or 8 episodes. I thought, oh, this is hitting really quickly. But then they managed to do some interesting twists with time travel and play and that padded it out just in a way that was unexpected for me and wasn't tedious, where a lot of those other Marvel Netflix shows like you're talking about, I could really just feel the strain of those last few episodes. I'm like, all right, you guys are spinning your wheels. You're padding things out with some episodes. I didn't actually feel that, although I was anticipating it, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think one of the there's a big turn in about episode 7 with Vanya.
Yeah.
That's where we find out about her powers. And so the last 4 episodes are really about her and her arc in a different way than it's been. So they did the story arcs, like the story arcs sort of wrap at 5, and then they start sort of a second season in a way.
They had the big bad was initially Cha-Cha and Hazel.
Yeah.
And then we get the expanded mythos with the organization that's actually pulling the strings of them.
Right.
Which was pretty fascinating. And then we get the other twist that what's his name? Leonard was actually unrelated.
Yeah.
To I thought Leonard was an agent of that organization for a bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no.
Then we find out he was a hero worshiper.
His origin story, like he's like symbiote or syndicate or what's his name?
Syndrome.
Syndrome
From The Incredibles. Yeah.
He's kind of like Syndrome, where he idolizes them and then just decides he wants to destroy them because he got hurt. And that was just so. That was such a great turn, and that guy I really enjoyed from Orange is the New Black as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jack Ryan, he had that awesome story where he hangs out with those swingers and he wins all that money. He was the drone pilot.
Yeah, that's right.
You know the turn that really got me, where I was like, oh, shit. Did not see that coming, even though it was hidden in plain sight. But the reveal, the scene where who is our guy from the Misfits who can talk to
Robert
people?
Sheehan.
Robert Sheehan.
Klaus.
The scene where Klaus finally talks to the dad.
Oh, right.
And kind of gets the reveal about who killed him, and you find out, no, I had to bring you guys together, so I killed myself.
I liked I thought the structure of this, where each episode was sort of focused on one character, and like,
oh, was it?
Oh, sort of. Yeah. If you look, like, there's.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. I just
like,
wasn't really noticing it.
Each episode, I mean, because everybody gets play in every episode.
Yeah.
But there's always
Yeah.
a focus on somebody's backstory. Whether
Like-
we're seeing Luther or we see Diego, we see Allison. Like, we definitely saw a little more of Klaus, but like when they get to number 5 and they start showing more of the time travel and all that stuff, that was sort of his episode. They always open with one character, and then we see their story sort of heavily in the forefront of that episode. Everybody else is getting play, but if you look at it, everyone gets like a spotlight episode, basically.
That is pretty good. I actually wasn't actively noticing it, so I think that they blend it pretty well,
Yeah.
so it doesn't feel like Lost, where it's like, oh, obviously all these characters in the background are just functioning to help serve your plot for this episode.
Exactly.
Like, everyone's still got their own stuff going on, and it all drives forward at an even pace.
I also really love the use of music in this one.
The music is fantastic.
And that's another thing that works in the show that you can't do in comics. Like, if you're going to do an adaptation of something, do an adaptation where you take advantage of the unique properties of the medium.
Yeah.
Comics, you can do big action, you can do costumes, you can do things that would look ridiculous in live action, and that's all in the comic. And I would highly recommend anybody who liked this to go check out the comics. Like, they're really good.
There's only 2 trades.
There's 2 trades and a 3rd series that's just out now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's 5 issues in.
Yay!
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's almost complete.
You got to go back to single issues, Grant.
The trade will be out soon. But anyway, that's really great. I would recommend people check it out. But you can't do music in the same way in a comic. Like, the use of music, the dance sequences, whether it's the opening with I Think We're Alone Now, when we saw them all dancing, when we start seeing Diego breakdancing,
Right.
and all that stuff, I fell in love with every one of those characters in that scene.
Space Boy, his
Yes.
awkward shuffle and his
Yes.
big gorilla upper body.
I fell in love with all of them then, and then later on they do the dancing in the moonlight, and that's another great
that was
one.
a great scene.
They do great, and then there's they use the music in Fives, like department store shootout,
The bowling alley.
the donut shop. Like, they use music really, really well.
It really punches up the action.
Yeah.
I've been listening on Spotify to the playlist that they put together for this because I'm like, I already love so many of those songs,
Yeah.
and just like having them collected there, it's a great playlist.
Well, and I was listening to it. I was almost thinking it was a little on the nose, kind of like that Zack Snyder Watchmen thing going back. That Zack Snyder's Watchmen soundtrack is the most on the nose choices of music you've ever heard. Like, they're good songs, but it's all like, man, there's no creativity here. And I was worried a little bit of that early on. I'm like, okay, well, I know.
Well,
these,
when you
but-
hear Tiffany's
when you
song,
start hearing Tiffany-
that one you would think, okay.
and then, but like the more they went on, I'm like, oh no, these are good. This is a good choice for all of these moments.
It makes me wonder if Gerard Way had input into the music aspect, because he does come from My Chemical Romance.
Well,
right.
Also, did you see who the co-producer was? Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige. who-
She's so good.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, casting her as Cha-Cha was genius. Did you guys catch who Hazel was?
He looks super familiar.
Ed Kemper from Mindhunter.
Oh, I never saw it.
Oh, shit!
Yeah.
You never saw Mindhunter?
No.
Oh,
man.
my God. This is the creepiest fucking...
He stole that show.
Dude.
Like, he was
Oh,
great
yeah,
in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Because Hazel, Cameron Britton is his name. Hazel was one of my favorite story arcs here.
Yeah, and his May-December relationship with the waitress. Like, I looked up the ages because I was like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And he's
I was cool with it.
He's
That looked-
32 and she's 64.
Yeah.
So he's actually half her age.
Love and be loved, man.
But he's a time traveler, so who knows how old he actually is.
Right.
That's true. No, I loved not only his progression throughout the episodes, but in some of these episodes where they would do that great thing where you would see the other person's side of the story before you would see Hazel's. And they would allow you to build some assumptions about his character. And then when you see his side of the story, you're like, I see what he's doing there. I see what's going on.
By the way, Hazel was able to throw down with Luther in his gorilla body, so Hazel's got some skills.
Right. Like, I like that they kind of set him up, like, these guys are legit. They're really good. Hazel
Yeah.
and Cha-Cha. And then they show that these people are brutal survivors who can take a punch and keep going, even if you're fighting a giant gorilla. Although, here's the weird thing. What were Luther's powers prior to having the body? Like, he's super strong. And
He was super strong. That was it. I
Okay,
think he was just super
like
strong.
they showed this one brief scene of this bank robbery.
Yeah.
and he shoots down from like crashing through the skylight.
And he like throws a guy across
yeah,
the
and then
bank.
throws a guy, and I'm like, okay, so he's super strong and athletic. I guess that's his power.
Yeah.
but now it seems just obvious because of his body.
Yeah, he got stronger. I think Luther was very much their Captain America, their Daredevil guy. They sort of like superhuman in that he's like super strong,
And agile, but now he's not agile.
Yeah, not at all.
And sometimes that body suit looked a little bit whack.
I actually thought the unreality of it worked really well. I thought that was done really well.
I just mean like sometimes like when he was like turning his arm and you like see how like the material's folding on the,
I felt so bad for that actor, man. That just carrying that thing around all day, even if it was light, had to be so uncomfortable.
This entire cast was great, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I loved everybody. I thought, first of all the Umbrella Academy. Number 5, you can't find a young actor who can do that. He was great.
That kid's from Ricky, Dicky, Nicky, and whatever, that kid's show. And I was like, what? It's that same kid from that.
No, he's from The Deuce over on HBO. He's the porn director. This is that Disney technology where they make them look like kids again. You know what I'm talking about. Who's the porn director on The Deuce?
You're talking about David Krumholtz.
Yeah, that's who that is.
He does not look like David Krumholtz.
It's the Disney technology. They did it to Robert Downey Jr. They did it to him.
It's a bit of a stretch, man.
I don't know.
But his intensity, the way he carries himself as a crotchety old man, the kid is fantastic. Yeah. What a great actor.
He's great. Colm Feore as Sir Reginald Hargreave. Perfect. Really, really good. And I just realized I was looking for it. The head of the agency, the one they call the Handler, Kate Walsh.
Yeah.
I couldn't place her. I knew I liked her, but I couldn't place her. And I'm like, who is that? I know who that is.
Judge.
God,
Kate Walsh.
She's so great.
I love her in everything she's in.
I like that their bad guys are like sympathetic. Like, yeah, they want to let the apocalypse happen, but I'm like, I kind of like her. Like she knows what she's about. She's funny.
One of the biggest surprises was how annoying I found Vanya at first. Like Ellen Page is just this sad sack weight of the world on her shoulders, mopey about everything, and it made me think like, Ellen Page, are you doing a bad job with this character's acting? Because I had forgotten about the whole plot point that she's on meds that just make her like out of touch and just kind of mopey about everything.
Yeah. Well, and they wanted to show that that's why the family doesn't want her around, because all she was resenting them all the time.
Right.
And it's also fit into the fact that she's doped up so her powers don't work.
And they were legitimately shitty to her.
Oh, yeah, for
time.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's Ellen Page. Where's the acting? And then, there it is.
There it is.
I know she can do it.
Yeah. I was thrilled they did Pogo, the monkey butler.
Their special effects look so great.
And he looked great.
It looked big money. I'm like, how many episodes he's going to be in?
Yeah, that was great. Because that's a little touch from Umbrella Academy that's very comic booky that they could have gotten away with not doing.
Like, they don't have they have a butler. They have Pogo, but they have this other butler dude in the very beginning. Yeah. Who's this Middle Eastern stereotype, it seems. So I can understand why they dropped that guy.
Yeah. But they didn't have to do Pogo, but I'm so glad they did, because it felt like that little bit of spice of weirdness that I wanted in there, that they just grew up with a monkey butler and a robot mom. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved the reveal on why they had the robot mom. Because it was really weird in the beginning. Like, wow, the old man's got a sex robot too, and then you're like, okay, she's got some more uses, and then it's like, oh no, they need to have a robot nanny because they can literally kill their nannies.
Yes.
So there's this interesting reveal in the comic in like the first couple pages. So I don't know if it's a spoiler, but they don't address it here in the show. So. If you guys want to jump ahead 1 minute because you're about to read that comic and you don't want a spoiler from page 4, please jump ahead a minute.
Yeah.
But right in the beginning, it says that Hargreaves is an alien.
Yeah.
Like, Reginald Hargreaves is an alien. That's like part of the story.
Yeah.
And then they don't address that. In fact, they really make it seem like he's not.
Except for there's one aspect. When they do the flashback to his story, and they show him with the woman who gives him the violin, and that is him, right? He unleashes like the what is probably the what became the kids, like he unleashes the stardust or whatever as there's missiles flying.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't know what that was.
I could not place where or when that was supposed to be. Like, was that an alternate dimension? Was it another planet?
So you think the idea is that he took and like when that was a weird scene?
Yeah,
you think those are his kids in a way?
I 100% think that he is the one who spread the kids across to make the Umbrella Academy, and that's why he knew to go look for them. And maybe he is an alien, and we're going to get into that in season 2.
But why couldn't he get the rest of his 47 fish spawn kids or however he's doing it?
Because I think there were probably moms. That's the thing is with the Umbrella Academy comics, the second one is all about Dallas. And I don't remember the story of Umbrella Academy Volume 2.
I think it actually ties into what was going on with number 5 and his organization.
So they incorporated some of that.
The Dallas thing is the whole assassination of JFK going on.
So that's where they're going in season 2?
No, they already did that in this season.
They brought it this season.
Oh, yeah,
Remember?
for 2 seconds.
So what I'm thinking is the thing they got to do for season 2 is probably deal with, what happened to the other kids who probably all have powers?
Yep. They have 1 billion of them, apparently.
And that would mean that we probably will get into exactly how they became a thing and what that scene... Because that scene with Hargreaves is deliberately obscure, I think.
I think that next season's going to be just like Smallville, where all the rocks make a villain of the week.
You think they'll start using that song? Somebody Save Me?
Yeah, I hope so.
That song is so good.
I was just super impressed.
I was blown away.
It was so fun, and from the visuals, the fight choreography, to the plotting, to all the cast, and how all these misfits could just play off of each other. And once again, I want to say, man, Robert Sheehan's so good.
Yeah, he's great.
And the best moment of this whole show for me was right at the end in the big battle where he realizes he can tap into that power and he can control Ben. And all of a sudden he's making all the tentacles shoot out. I was like, fuck yeah, that's such an awesome scene.
That was pretty great.
Yeah, it was really great. What do you guys think about the cliffhanger ending?
Ooh, so I have a gripe with that ending. Here's the thing. You don't know until you get to next season.
Right.
But immediately it seemed like one of those, oh wait, he could have done that the whole time? None of this was worth anything?
But the thing is, he doesn't know if he can do it.
Well, and that's the thing, if we get to next season and then it's just them, Happy Death Day, they do the week over again, then it's going to be then everything in the first season didn't really have consequence.
It seems like it will. I imagine what happens is they go back and now they're informed that she has powers and they're going to incorporate her and they're going to be a whole different thing in the future.
Yeah.
Their whole dynamic, she's not going to have her daughter.
Right.
That's kind of a rough one there.
Right.
But otherwise, everything else seems okay.
Who's not going to have their daughter?
Allison.
Yeah.
Rumor.
Because if they all go back and number 5 and become their kid selves, and we go back to the early days, and I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's right. They did turn back to kids for a moment.
That was the plan, right? He was going to take them back now with the knowledge that they can't be shitty to Vanya because she's got crazy fucked up powers, and that's going to cause the apocalypse.
Here's the question: if they do that, though, there's no way they're going to use the kid actors for the whole season. So, do you do a thing where we're seeing the adult versions playing kids? How do you do that?
That's a very Joss Whedon type thing where you show one shot where they're all kids, but then the rest of the episode we see them as adults.
Yeah, I think they'll just establish that was something that was addressed. I think they'll still have some cutaways, but they'll probably just recast most of those kids. The only one that they can't recast is number 5.
Right. Yeah. And he, of course, is just a Disney CGI'd version of whoever that dude is.
Thank you.
Krumholtz.
Exactly.
Krumholtz.
This is just science. This is just
or
misfits of science.
Maybe they'll use the Disney shrinking technology on all the adult actors and make them into kids.
Oh my god!
What? There you go.
No, they're going to make them all pogos. They're all going to be pogos.
No.
Hey, they do have that pogo budget. Spoiler that they get to use next season.
All pogos.
So, this coming from Netflix, I'm just super excited about another big genre show from them because Stranger Things only has maybe 1 or 2 more seasons. I don't know if they're going to keep milking that one.
Yeah.
So I'm fully on board with what this is.
Also, this is interesting because this is also a proof of concept because they've got that deal with Mark Miller. They're doing all his superhero universe, and they've been starting to work on Reborn, and it's not all superheroes. He has some superhero stuff, but it's all weird sci-fi, crazy superhero-y type stuff in the Kingsman vein or one of those. So this is a sort of we can do comic book shows that aren't dreary Marvel Netflix shows.
And in fact, we can do them better when we're not restricted by Marvel.
I think the Marvel Netflix divorce has actually been good for both of them.
Oh yeah. Speaking of news items, folks.
Yeah.
They finally dropped.
They officially canceled them. Jeff Loeb put out this weird letter about we did the impossible. We'll see you in the funny papers. It was almost like. You remember how Whedon did that thing before Serenity where he was like, we have done the impossible that made us mighty. And it was really inspiring because we got our Firefly movie and that's great. There's no way this should have happened. Loeb was trying to tap into that and dude, not that many people care that your shows went off and not that many people want you back. Some people do.
There's petitions. Mainly it's Charlie Cox who wants it back.
But Loeb trying to make it out like the Defenders was some great thing, and I'm like, no, man, the whole thing had problems throughout. You can't make this out like this was an unjust loss. This was
I have a complete undying fanboy love for the MCU.
Yeah,
that does not include anything from Netflix.
Not at all. And I have a fondness for some of the early Netflix stuff, but I don't care if it all gets erased from continuity, basically.
Exactly. Please give me a different Daredevil. Please give me the Daredevil in the spandex red. I'm ready for it.
This was a great proof of concept that Netflix doesn't need Marvel, that they can do their own superheroes. They can bring in indie comics, and I cannot wait to see more of what they do with it.
I got a request for the next comic that they bring over to the Netflix 10 episodes.
What do you want?
How great would it be to see Sex Criminals done on Netflix where you can have nudity, where you can have real graphic sex scenes?
I would like them to finish the comic, though, if they're going to do Sex Criminals.
Oh, you want to know that's good?
Yeah.
You don't want to get into a Game of Thrones situation?
I don't want to be in a Game of Thrones situation. It does, and I don't want to be in a situation where it's like Akira the Akira anime doesn't make any sense at the end because they were halfway through it when they started making it.
What would you pick?
That's a good question. Paper Girls. Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang's Paper Girls.
Did Saga just conclude?
No, Saga's on a hiatus, but it's probably going to wrap up soon.
Oh, that's got to be HBO though, or James Cameron, big money.
If HBO were to take the budget and time and all that stuff they applied to Game of Thrones and apply it to Saga, they could have something. Because Saga's expensive as shit, but it could also be that kind of big connective twist and turn kind of thing.
I would say give me 100 Bullets.
Yeah.
That one would be just so much fun on Netflix.
100 episodes.
100 episodes. And a movie. Okay, let's jump over to DC Online Universe, whatever their fucking channel's called, and Doom Patrol.
So I'm curious, how much have you guys read any Doom Patrol?
No.
At all? None? Mm-mm. None at all.
The only person I'm familiar with is Cyborg, and he wasn't even in the first episode.
He's also not in the Doom Patrol.
So we're talking about the pilot, folks, and what a quirky pilot.
Yeah. So the comic book history of this is really interesting because it starts out as this 1950s, 1960s, their answer to the X-Men.
Okay.
The Weird Freaks and Misfits. And then around the late 80s, Grant Morrison does this weird meta take for DC Vertigo where it's adult situations and he's really getting into the angst and the body horror of it all, that they're all these weird twisted freaks. And, the chief is obviously this crazy person who recruited them all. And their bad guys are the Brotherhood of Dada run by Mr. Nobody. And they're they don't want to cause chaos. They just want to make people see how weird the world is. And it's got all that crazy Grant Morrison stuff. And then recently, Gerard Way started writing it based on the Morrison run. And he's doing his own sort of weird science-y take.
Who's the artist on that?
That is Nick Darrington, former Arsenite Nick Darrington.
Oh yeah, I was like, he's from Austin.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I think he moved, but he was an Austinite for a long time.
Ah.
But these characters have sort of a weird pedigree because they've always been sort of the weird characters, the outcasts. They're even weirder than the X-Men, and Grant Morrison just sort of amped that. And then when they did Titans, the Titans show, I think the Doom Patrol episode was probably my favorite episode.
I didn't actually catch that.
Oh, really? Okay.
I only saw the pilot episode. What about you?
I haven't seen any of this.
Oh, okay.
I've got DC Universe Online. My parents didn't give me that password.
We have an account. We TV dudes have an account.
I know that now.
I just sent it to you.
But so having said that, Grant, you went into this blind. You liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I did have it in my head that I have to pit Umbrella Academy against Doom Patrol and compare them. So I was like, well, I don't know if I'm ready to like just jump in and watch all 10 episodes of Doom Patrol. And then I was like, oh, there's only one episode?
Yeah.
This is easy.
Now, do you think I watched most of Umbrella Academy before I watched this? And I feel like if I had watched Doom Patrol first, I would have liked it a little bit better. Because I think Umbrella Academy does what it does a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was riding on a high of my expectations of how a team would assemble.
Yeah.
And so when I came to this one, I haven't seen any of the other DC shows yet that are on there. I haven't seen Titans yet.
Right.
I don't even know what else is actually on
That's
there.
the only other live action thing.
But my understanding is that they're trying to be edgy and gritty a little bit.
Yeah.
And this seemed a little bit like roll my eyes at like, oh, there's boobs.
It's
And there's F-bombs being dropped. Ooh, these guys are tough. But
it's a teenager's idea of what's mature.
It just didn't seem necessary.
I agree.
And since it wasn't necessary, it seemed like it was intentionally being like edgelords about this. Whatever.
I agree. I actually think that, like as with Titans, there's a good show here, but someone in DC's TV department is like, yeah, make sure there's lots of cursing and blood and boobs, and I'm like, dude, you are a 10-year-old. Like, you are not showing off your maturity here.
How cool would it be to have that job to be like, not enough boobs?
Up the boobage.
That said, the cast here is great.
Yeah. Brendan Fraser's
a lot of fun. It starts off with like Brendan Fraser, and he's cheating, and he's a race car driver.
And it's all the 80s, and I'm like, okay.
I swear to God, I was like one step removed from the Legend of Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, right. I was like, is this Talladega Nights?
like it was just a little too Talladega Nights for me. And then when they got into a little bit more, I was like, okay, all right, because I was worried the whole show was going to be like that.
The twist with him, was great.
Oh man, that was a heartbreaker because I saw it coming right before they did it, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, right when he's like, well, you need to listen to this tape. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. You're like, oh no, this is going to be bad.
You do not remember how that went down.
Yeah. I thought they did a good job introducing each character. I like that. I don't know if this was deliberate or not. Each character is effectively immortal, it seems like, because of the nature of their powers or whatever.
Right.
And they're all from a different decade, and very deliberately from that decade. Like, Elastigirl is very much a 50s, 60s movie star.
Elastigirl?
Elasti-Woman, sorry. Elastigirl is her name from DC Comics, like Doom Patrol. That was way before Incredibles.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that that's her name. Like, they didn't call her anything except for her first name in the episode.
So she's from the 50s. She's a 50s movie actress.
She looks like a Pixar character. Her eyes are gigantic.
Yeah. They're definitely doing some CGI on there, I think.
Are they really?
It's gotta be.
I think like the actress might just have
giant eyes.
Emma Stone-sized eyes.
And then Robot Man is definitely from the 80s. Larry Traynor, who's playing who's the Negative Man guy, he's a 60s, test pilot, badass guy.
Yeah.
And then
90s girl.
Crazy Jane's a 90s girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're all...
Wait, who's 70s then?
I don't think they have a 70s unless they decide to go that with Cyborg, which is possible.
Looking at him, though, he looks like he's from the aughts.
I think he's going to be the modern guy, yeah.
Yeah.
So they may just not have a 70s guy.
Maybe 70s guy is Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, maybe so.
Or not Pierce...
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton, whatever. Yeah. Same guy. Same James Bond guy.
Timothy Dalton was great here.
Right.
Alan Tudyk narrating, like that's a very meta thing. Mr. Nobody is a guy who sort of exists outside of time, knows they're in a comic book. It makes a lot of sense that he's basically narrating the whole thing.
Okay, I don't understand what his abilities are besides that he's God. What's going on? Like, he's just like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the meta narrator. Like, he is outside the fiction.
Okay.
Which makes him an interesting bad guy. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
And the one complaint I'd say I have about the pilot is there's not a lot of conflict. They spend so much time setting up all the characters and like the characters bickering, and there's a lot of great development that like the threat. What exactly is the threat except that they cause a threat? Like there's no threat to them just yet.
I really liked them going into town.
Yeah.
And because it felt like it was a little bit claustrophobic.
Yeah.
They took a little bit too long with the development of Brendan Fraser's robot dude.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Robot Man.
Robot Man?
Yep.
Okay, when I say robot dude, I was close enough.
Look, this comic came out in the late 50s, early 60s.
Okay, so Robot Man, I was like, okay, I get it, but it just felt a little bit tedious, the pacing of that particular element, especially when I see how fun it was once it opened up and they're kind of exploring the world. I don't know what the ability is of the burned up dude, Matt Bomer's character.
So that is Negative Man, and he has an energy form he can send out.
And because all that it showed was him running away, freaking out and running away from the incident that was going on in the city. And then he falls on the ground and a little lightning bolt flies away from him into an energy box, and that was it.
Yeah.
But it was what was that?
But the lightning bolt is shaped like a person.
Okay.
And that's the thing is it is an energy form that he can send out.
Why did his energy form just go there and what was it doing? Was it trying to make that fall to stop something?
No, he turned off the power. He sucked all the electricity out of it so that it wouldn't electrocute that car.
Oh.
He saved the mom and the kid in the car by sucking all the electricity.
So he did
out
something
of it.
brave, but also he ran away. The whole thing was just a confusing scene.
Yeah.
For him in particular.
Yeah.
Everything else I was kind of on board with. Yeah. I also wish that they would make a little bit more clear what's going on with 90s Girl.
Yeah, they're going
to New Black.
They're going to get to that. Crazy Jane, they mentioned it once that she has different personalities, and different powers.
She has different personalities, and I was like, okay, so she has different personalities, but once all of a sudden she transforms into this hulking beast with a fire head.
Right.
And he's like, no, not that. Let's not use that.
Right.
I was like, no, wait, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. She's got, I don't remember in the comics how many it is. It's like 90. She's got a ton of personalities, and each personality is a different set of powers. Mm-hmm. And some of them are evil, basically. And so it's definitely set up that she's, some of them are dangerous. I do think that she got a little bit of short shrift. We got a little bit of her interaction, but because they were so focused on Cliff Steele and Robot Man, I think that the others.
Is that just because it was such a big get to get Brendan Fraser?
I think Brendan Fraser was the big get, yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, that dude's making a comeback, which is great.
Yeah.
Miss him, and he's fun.
Yeah. I'll be curious what they do with Cyborg. Cyborg's never been a Doom Patrol guy. He's actually a Teen Titan or lately Justice League, but making him one of these sort of freaks that the Chief takes under his wing makes a lot of sense.
So wait, they're going to have a Robot Man and a
cyborg, yeah. Because Robot Man technically is a cyborg. He's just got a brain and a robot body. That's a cyborg.
That's what I was thinking too. Why bring Cyborg in except for to just make Robot Man feel worse about his whole situation?
And it's a weird call. I assume that there's a reason because Beast Boy is traditionally a Doom Patrol guy. He goes from Doom Patrol to Teen Titans, and he did that in Titans. He showed up. That's why Doom Patrol showed up in Titans. That was his old family, and they showed up there. So to have Beast Boy basically written out already means they must have felt they needed another team member.
Right.
And I don't know why they felt that. Like this would have been a perfectly good team without bringing in Cyborg. It works perfectly well without him. So they must have something in mind.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. It's also interesting. Crazy Jane is a late ad. She's from the Grant Morrison stuff. Everybody else is from the very original Doom Patrol stuff.
Ultimately, I thought this is fun, but I'm not super enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
I still feel like it has the feel of a CW or I guess now a DC show.
It's miles ahead of Titans for me, which I actually wound up liking, but Titans has definitely some that 13-year-old, oh yeah, cool blood boobs. That's way more prominent in Titans than it is here. And so I'm curious to see where they go from here because Titans wound up growing on me. If Doom Patrol does the same, I imagine I'll like it quite a bit. But this was interesting enough to follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, compared to Umbrella Academy, it's not even the same league.
Guys, if you like us over on Facebook.com/TV Dudes, every couple weeks, Randy will put up a post and ask for you guys to ask us whatever you want. And we got a couple questions here. We're just going to hit a couple of them. Alec Miracle says, Dudes, I remember when I was a wee lad watching the Emmys with my mom and hearing all the nominations Lost got. And hearing them win those nominations, I remember saying, oh my God, why is Lost winning so many? Let someone else win. This was around 2005, 2006, when you were a wee lad.
Wee lad.
Why are you saying this to us? Why are you making us feel old?
Just get used to it, Grant.
Why are you making Randy feel so ancient?
Oh, no.
Remember that show that used to come on after Cheers, Lost?
Anyway, so wait, where was I? This was around 2005, 2006 when it never came across to me that Lost was a show to be watching because I was only in middle school. Now, obviously, I'm glad it won, and ABC better not reboot it because it's amazing and perfect, and damn it, if they reboot it, one of their most successful shows ever, I will tear them a new asshole. And then it goes a little crazy. Anyway, that's it. No question, just a statement.
That's a good question.
Cool, thank you, Alec.
So here's what we've learned. ABC should not reboot Lost. I am old. Mm-hmm. And fuck the Emmys.
Yeah, they always fuck the Emmys. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's just a lifelong...
Did the Emmys run? No, the Oscars.
Oscars are this weekend.
Yeah, they're coming up.
I don't know
Or
about
this
award
week.
shows.
All right, next question comes to us from Zach McLernan, who says, so I was reading some weird listicles and saw that apparently Mike Tyson wanted to box a silverback gorilla.
Yep.
Imagining this hilarity, what pathetic TV character would you like to see fight a silverback? I was hoping for Pete Campbell from Mad Men.
Oh my God, yes. Pete Campbell getting punched was the best part of Mad Men.
Yeah.
Like someone surely done a montage of that, right? Of Pete Campbell getting punched.
Just what a sniveling prick.
Because everybody punched him. Who would I like to see to fight a gorilla?
I mean, usually it's got to be someone from It's Always Sunny for You.
I mean,
That's where I went first.
obviously, Mac trying to fight a gorilla makes perfect sense.
Right.
And would be.
I want to see the episode where Mac trains to fight the gorilla. They don't even have to
Yes,
show it.
yes.
It just the episode ends with him in the ring, but it's all about him training to fight the gorilla.
Have you guys seen this whole? There was a thread. There was a guy on Reddit or something. Guys like, I'm an MMA fighter. I can fight a gorilla. Did you guys see this thing?
No.
Okay, I'm going to find it real quick if I can.
That is ridiculous.
I got a good answer. Janet fighting a gorilla,
Oh,
but like
interesting.
kicking ass.
You know, Janet's got some fighting in her.
That
I
she
feel
does.
like Janet wouldn't need to. Like,
need
it
to
would
fight
just
the
try
gorilla.
and hit her, and it would destroy. It would just, like, evaporate like the dust and after the snap.
Yeah, there was a guy. Basically, he's like, you know, I think I could fight a gorilla. I've done MMA training. It's like the most delusional. It's like a guy who clearly had gotten drunk and decided that he could fight a gorilla. And there was these amazing responses from people like, yeah, the gorilla's skull is so thick, he's not going to feel your punches. And someone posted that video of a gorilla like grabbing this guy and dragging him off into the woods. Like, it is not a good idea to want to fight a gorilla. But it makes total sense that Mike Tyson is a guy who thinks he can fight a gorilla.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
It doesn't make sense anymore for him. Like,
No.
that must have been an old thing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, here's the other thing about Mike Tyson. He's not that smart.
No, he's not.
He was a great fighter.
Yeah.
He's not the smartest guy. A bit of an abusive asshole, too.
Yeah.
There's just problems with the guy.
Who else could fight a gorilla? Like, Janet's a good answer. Janet's got robot powers. I bet she could fight a gorilla.
Yeah, or I'm thinking in the cyborg arena because
Yeah.
you got to have some enhancements.
Yep, sure.
If you're going to go toe to toe with a gorilla.
Yep.
You need the smoke monster. Okay, I got it.
The smoke monster could fight a gorilla.
Yeah.
What about Locke being inhabited by the smoke monster? Could he fight a gorilla?
If he is the smoke monster, if he's Jeremy Bentham or some shit.
But I mean, he fought Jack, and Jack beat him, right? Which means that Jack could beat a gorilla. So I'm not sure that works.
And alcohol beat up Jack,
Yeah.
a.k.a. Matthew Fox.
So a gorilla's-
So therefore,
A gorilla's
Beer.
one weakness is whiskey.
it's whiskey.
Yes.
I think the perfect answer. Do you guys remember the Mantis?
Oh yeah,
Fox?
Mantis. Carl Lumley.
His like power was he would shoot tranquilizer darts.
Yeah.
So what else to take a gorilla down besides a tranquilizer
That's right. He could slow the gorilla down before it beat him to death.
There we go.
And he was already paralyzed from the neck down, so you don't have to worry about that.
Which is the natural event of fighting a gorilla.
Yeah.
Folks, we are on patreon.com/TV Dudes. If you guys want to help us out, please go over there and make a per episode pledge. We appreciate all the support. And as always,
If you pledge $30 a month, Kyle will fight a gorilla.
we might have Kyle fight someone else dressed up as a gorilla.
As a gorilla. Someone's dressed in a gorilla suit.
We'll
And
do
I'm going to
it.
be dressed like Mike Tyson, and it's going to be a big blackface controversy.
Oh, no. No.
All right, I can't fight the gorilla then.
Where did all of our Patreon money go? Shit.
What's that noise? They're taking the money out?
All right, folks, we appreciate all of your support. We will be back next week to talk. What are we going to talk about?
Science fiction. The undiscovered country.
Fiction. So stay tuned, and until then,
Chiva Dude's out!
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TV Dudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.